Hello, everyone. I am Lonnie Hobbs Jr., the Marketing and Research Director for Kansas Black Farmers Association. I want to thank you for joining us today. We have our good friend with us, Mr. Rick McNary from Shop Kansas Farms, and today he'll be talking about ways to expand farmers' direct-to-consumer businesses through Shop Kansas Farm services. Feel free if you have any questions or if you would like any additional information to send a message in the chat and I'll be responding to that. We'll also be recording today's session. So if there's anything that you missed out on, or if there's anything that you would like additional information on, we will record this session and then post it to our YouTube channel, as well as various clips to our other social media channels. So without further ado, I will turn it over to our guest speaker, Mr. Rick McNary. Rick, the floor is yours, my friend.
Good morning, everyone. And Lonnie, thank you for hosting me this morning. I have my dear friend and great colleague, Megan Kramer from Kansas Farm Bureau, Director of Communications, on with me this morning. She's been with me all along the journey for several years in all of this, and also came to my rescue once again this morning because I couldn't get my computer to work. As you guys know the story, she came to my rescue the first day of Shop Kansas Farms when we went from 0 to 5,000 and then 50,000 members in the first week. So Megan's a great friend and a great colleague. Megan, thank you for being a part of this. So I'm going to ask you to share your screen now. So of course, one of the fundamental principles in business is nothing happens until somebody sells something. And what we've done with Shop Kansas Farms is connected consumers to producers who had things grown on the farm to sell direct to consumers. And everything we do is based upon profiting farmers. We want to profit. We also want to protect farmers because it's a social media platform, and then people can misbehave on that in time. So behind the scenes, we've always had this motto of to prosper and protect. And so we are building this out to help even prosper you further. So there are these 4 different ways that we can help you. The first is the Shop Kansas Farms Facebook group. We'll jump onto that next slide, Megan. So you can list your products for free on our Facebook group and add your farm to our map. Those 2 things go together. So when I started Shop Kansas Farms, the Facebook group, it exploded. People were saying, we need a map so we can find people. And as you know, Google and Facebook don't play well together. So my wife and I invested our money, started Shop Kansas Farms LLC, built a website that had a searchable map and directory. Even as of this morning, I approved, I think, 4 different farms, new farms that are listed. We have more than 1,300. So here's an important step. You have to be on the map before you can list on the Facebook group. There are a variety of reasons we've done that. Primary is so people can find you and without having to look through all the posts on Facebook group. And as you know, algorithms on Facebook, don't show everything all the time. And so the most secure way is to be on the map. So you go to our website, which is shopkansasfarms.com, and you'll see there's an arrow at the top tab on the bar. It says add a listing. So it's a pretty simple little thing. It will walk you through. We have to approve it. The second reason we put a map in place was really for legitimacy's sake. Unfortunately, early on, there were some scammers that jumped on the Facebook group and said, oh, we've got this to sell. Send us money, like a quarter of a beef or a side of beef. And unfortunately, they took the money and ran. And we found quickly that if you make them list themselves as a farm on a map with phone numbers and addresses and emails, they're a lot less likely to want to scam people. So you go list your farm on a map. Okay, Megan, if you'll jump to the next one. And the other one is on the Facebook group. Of course, you have to join the Facebook group. Now, there's a Facebook page, which has about 9,000 members, but there's a Facebook group. It's the group you're looking for to join. And on that group are these rules. So these rules we put in place really the first week because we had to define the focus of what we were doing, as well as the parameters for behavior, rules for engagement. And so the first one, of course, is stay on topic of buying and selling food from Kansas farms. That's the first thing. It has to be a food or a food product, value added product from a Kansas farm. So we get the question, I do goat milk or goat soap. Can I sell goat soap? Like, or goat milk soap, I should say. And we say, as long as you sell goat milk, as long as there's something that humans can eat or drink that's for human consumption, then that's fine. These rules also go same, let me rephrase it. These rules are the same for people who do in search of posts. So we see these posts come through that say, I am looking for X and Y. And it again has to be food that's grown on a Kansas farm. Later, you'll understand why we've stuck to that principle. But it's followed our mission of connecting you to the wonderful farms and ranches of Kansas so you can buy the food they raise. So it's got to be about food. The second thing is that sellers must be listed on the website. And there's a little phrase down at the bottom that says, please say that you are when you post it. We do that for two reasons, because people like us who are looking for the post, we don't want to go to the map every time. So if somebody says, I'm on the map, then we let the post go through as long as they follow the other rules. Also, we have a lot of new members joining all the time, and we want them to understand the map is and the website is a real key part of this functionality. As you all know, several months ago, Facebook went down for several hours one day. And we saw our website traffic just accelerate and explode because people have been trained that, oh, okay, there's no Facebook group, but there's a website and I can go find things there. No photos of live animals. This is one we started early because we realized Facebook was dinging us and not letting posts through. And we were trying to, and of course, Facebook wouldn't tell us why. They just said, that doesn't meet our content and our standards. And we're like, okay, why? Well, we figured out that some words, as well as photos of live animals, was causing Facebook to shut that post down. So we just say no photos of live animals. Plus, it's also a marketing thing. And this was early on when we did allow photos. A guy had 4 hogs he wanted to sell. So he put a photo of those 4 hogs laying in a hog pen covered in mud. He's like, these are going to the locker. They're great beef or great meat. And he explained why. And I messaged him on the side and I said, consumers like me, I'm not used to seeing a live animal or a photo of a live animal when I go to the grocery store. Now, a pork chop frying on the grill, that's one thing, but not a live animal. And of course, he was very proud of his pigs. And he's like, no, I'm going to keep it there. So we watched it for like 4 days. And I told him, I said, I have a stock photo I can send you of a pork chop frying on a grill. And he said, okay, I'll try it. He sold all of those within about 45 minutes. So it was a marketing thing too. Consumers, you walk in a grocery store, you don't see pictures of Porky uh, to sell the stuff. So the other one is also, I learned that you can sell the quarter or the whole or half of a hog or a cattle, but you can't sell individual cuts like roasts and hamburgers and things like that unless you've had them processed by a different type of a USDA facilitated processing plant. So that license number, that KDA license. So if we see a photo and it's got pork chops or roasts or individual cuts and it doesn't have a license number, we don't let it through because it's got to be the law. We're making sure. Also, this is the next one is for buyers. When they come to us, we say, okay, please look at our map first before you put this out on the Facebook group. And then the other one, of course, and has been the hardest one to enforce, has been be nice. Our posts are not critical or keep it civil. The biggest reasons people have been nasty is because of the pricing of a product. And sometimes it's actually even been farmers being unkind to each other. And we just say, no, you don't do that in the grocery store. I shopped at Dillon's yesterday. I saw a price I didn't like. I did not go to the manager and shake my fist and say, how could you do that? You're gouging. I just walked on by and thought I'll get it someplace else. So we tell people to do the same thing. Uh, and it's surprising, just as an aside, of all of the posts that I put on where I write little missives, and every once in a while, my kids call it "Dad came back into the room" missive of, they've been misbehaving. I come back in and say, "All right, knock it off." Those just seem to get all kinds of traction. Everybody loves it when I get, but I think it really speaks to our culture and saying somebody's trying to control the behavior of people and not just let people be nasty. And thank you for doing that. And so that's been a challenge for us. But I also, I've done a lot of this on my own time and money. And it's like, I don't have the toleration for people who won't be nice. And of course, foul language, we don't put up with that at all. And we educate ourselves and stay legal, and we encourage people to do the same. So those rules, please look at those rules if you're going to advertise, because we want to run your post through the first time. We don't want to have to say, "I'm sorry, but you didn't do this right." We don't like to do that. We just like people to. We love the posts that have followed all the rules. Like boom, they go through. So anyway, next slide, please. And then post your products. Of course, recently eggs have just been a hot item. And if you'll notice at the bottom of that, there have been 200 and how many? 292 or something like that. Sorry, my bifocals aren't working that well. Reactions to it, a 30,000 post reach, 87 comments, 23 shares. That's incredible. I mean, that's some powerful advertising. So, post your stuff, get it out there. Now, we're not going to guarantee that all of your posts get that because we can't control that. But we're finding that if you really want to understand what consumers are looking for, look through these posts. Just scroll back through the Facebook group and see what's gaining the most reaction. There's a grist mill in Enterprise, Kansas, that they put stuff up about the flour. And I've been to the mill. They grind flour. They have somebody that grows the wheat nearby them, and they grind this stuff all up. And they put a post up. They just go nuts. The 500 or 600 reactions to it. I know you guys have that pancake mix. I think that'd be a hot item from the Farm Bureau or from Kansas Black Farmers Association itself. The story that goes along with that, people are looking for that kind of stuff. Be prepared to have it in stock, though, if you do that, because the people jump on this. So, okay. So that's the Facebook group. It's all free. We also know that Facebook is Facebook, and and the and we hear from farmers saying, "Well, I put posts up, I'm not getting reactions, but I'm asking my friends and they're not seeing it." It's like, yeah, we let it through, but algorithms and all that kind of stuff. So we want to help farmers even sell better. And one of the questions I frequently get is, okay, we've got the Facebook thing. Is there a way that you can help me do more? So actually, before I get into that, I realize I'm kind of moving into the next section. And Lonnie, I'll just pause. And if there's any questions that have popped up, let's talk about that now.
I don't believe there's any questions in the chat as of now. A lot of feedback talking about our flour, and a few interactions. If there are any questions, feel free to drop in the chat if you have a question as of now. And if not, Rick, you can keep it rolling. And the next time you pause, I'll bring back to any other questions that were mentioned.
Outstanding. All right. So now we're going to talk about, I'm sorry, Lonnie, go ahead.
Oh, no, I wasn't saying anything.
Oh, okay. So when I set Shop Kansas Farms up as a business, I had to choose what type of business it was. And from the beginning, it was a agricultural marketing business, because that's what we do. We help you market your products. So building out on that and becoming better, of course, I've been writing for the Kansas Living, Kansas Farm Bureau's magazine for 8 years. I've gotten to know farmers as an outsider looking in. I don't have the courage or the intelligence or the faith to be a farmer, but y'all are my heroes. And as I've learned in talking to them, they say, up at sunup or before sunup and get to bed after dark. And we don't have time to tell our story and to do this. And so they hired firms and they're disappointed, and they hired national groups, and so been working on rolling it out through our new website the way that we can really help those of you who are wanting to really grow the business. Because when you look at, we've got 170,000 people looking at our Facebook group and page. We have 1,300 farms, more than that, listed on our map. We have several hundred people a day that go to our website now. So we've got a lot of visibility. We've got a lot of consumers. In fact, when I talk to groups, I say, imagine there's 170,000 consumers standing behind me, and they're telling you, farmers, we want to buy from you. Just help us figure out how to do that. Help us know who you are, where you are, and what you have. So it's a wonderful opportunity. So we really bring the consumers to you. We're bringing you a market, and we want to expand that. My vision is someday on Times Square having a Shop Kansas Farm billboard in New York City. I want people all over the nation shopping Kansas farms. And truly, they're doing it now, just not in a coordinated effort. We have a lot of our farmers that sell all over the nation. So if we'll slip onto that next slide, Megan. So then through the website, now I sent in these flyers, and if you don't have one, Lonnie or Justin can send you one, so you can look at this in more detail. I realize it's a little bit hard, but it's about really us helping you use our platform, both of social media, but also of the website with search engine optimization and the new things we're going to be doing to really help you sell your product. So imagine this. Right now, people go to our website, and if they're wanting to find you, they have to jump on the map. And so they go look through the map and look for somebody near them. Well, in the future, in the not too distant future, when people go to our website, farms who choose premier listings will be there. So you'll go to the website, there'll be a category like beef or pork, and you click on that, and then there will be that farm listed there. And it will be actually, a photograph of the brand, the location, what they have to offer, but it'll just be, imagine looking at that screen, and there's a row of 5 farms, and there's several rows deep, and you just click on that farm and you go straight to that farm. So you're not going to be buying stuff from us. People won't be buying things from us. They'll be buying them from the farmers, but we're that conduit to get them directly to you. So when they go to Shop Kansas Farms, they can be on your website in 2 clicks. And that's a pretty good deal. And the beauty of what, once people who do choose and pay for these premier listings, we're really committed to making you guys money. And so we're going to be getting you out there. Your posts on Facebook are going to get pinned. You can actually get automatic post approval. We're going to be writing about you. We can actually do in-depth stuff. Of course, there's some monetization for that. We can do feature articles and things of that nature. So we just make you rise to the top and have people find you as easily as possible. Along with that will come metrics. We'll be able to tell you how many people are clicking and how many where they're going. We also have a newsletter that we have about 3,500 subscribers for right now, with at least a 42% open rate, sometimes 50, which if you've ever done a newsletter, it's pretty darn good. People love you guys. They want to know about you. And so we send that out every couple of weeks. You can advertise on that. It's one of the options. It can be bundled up in a package. So again, we have a variety of ways that we can really shine the light on you even more. So this online mall. So if imagine any kind of a mall you go into, there are all these stores. So we're basically, our website is going to be an online shopping mall. So people can go there and they can go find, oh, I need to go find this store and that store and this farm and that farm who has these products. I think that's it on that online mall, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, the next will be in Market Farm. So before we get into this one, are there any questions about the online mall and the marketing? So again, think of it this way. if you need somebody to really help you market your product, we're bringing everything we have to the game to help you market that product. And there's different levels of purchase acquisition for those services that you can get from us, but we're really excited about helping you guys expand your market, not just in Kansas, but across the nation. One of my ideas or one of my dreams is having billboards, especially in Kansas City and Topeka. I mean, just drive down the road, shop Kansas Farms, go to the website. We're going to be driving a lot of traffic to you guys. Any questions, Lonnie, that have come up?
Doesn't look like any questions, but I do want to let everyone know these attachments that Rick has just shown. I did drop those files into the chat. So you have access in the chat to be able to maximize it so you can see exactly the details he has on each of those flyers.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lonnie. Now, you and Megan just make me look good, like I know what I'm doing. So the next one is a market of farms, events and franchises. So there are two different components of this. One would be for you as individual farmers who want to sell stuff. And the other one would be for you as a community to have a market of farm in your own community. So here's the history of that. One of the things I like best about Shop Kansas Farms is that consumers have fallen in love with Kansas farmers like I have. And one of the big reasons is during the pandemic, when the store shelves were empty, you guys came to their rescue. We've got great comments from people that said, I was scared to death. We don't live off the land like you guys do. We live off the store shelves and we were petrified and you came to our rescue. You had our back. One of the things I like is that farm people have fallen in love with Kansas farmers like I have and have learned to be loyal to them. And so people were saying, hey, we want to come and see all of these. Can you get them together? And after the pandemic, Lyons, Kansas reached out to me and said, would you like to have something? We'll give you our celebration center and just have something here if you'd like. It's like, shoot, yeah, we'll try that out. So that was actually a year ago last weekend that we had our first market of farms. And we had 42 vendors there from all over the state. Now, here's the unique part about the vendors are from all over the state. We had them come from Southwest Kansas and Northeast Kansas. Some of them drove 2.5 and 3 hours. Why? Because they knew there was also a statewide group of consumers. It wasn't regional. It wasn't like a farmer's market where it's just, folks in the county. It's folks all over the state. In fact, consumers, there were people that drove up from Texas. Shop Kansas Farms is kind of a cool thing in other states bordering us. And they've tried to replicate it and don't do so well sometimes. So like, okay, we're going to go to Kansas. So we had people from Oklahoma and Nebraska and Missouri and all these places come to Kansas. So in Lyons, a year ago, this last weekend, more than 1,400 people showed up for the market of farms. It blew us all away. In fact, the folks from Lyons said they knew the people that came were not from Lyons because they parked in the parking lot wrong. The parking lot is gravel, doesn't have stripes. And so people are like, okay, well, if they're not going to tell me where to park, I'll park wherever I think I can. So it's really fantastic that they had all of these people, and farmers, vendors were telling me repeatedly, they sold out. There's one couple near a town near there that actually brought in a refrigerated box truck full of meat. They didn't know, because nobody had ever done this before, and they sold out the box truck. So it's a unique thing. As one farmer said, people come to buy, not to browse. And while the people, in fact, this time we'll give them bags, shopping bags, branded shopping bags that they'll be able to walk around and buy stuff. They're there on a mission to buy. So there's the Market of Farms, the event. We've got another one coming up in Lyons in April. We've got one coming up in Caldwell, Kansas in September. And if you guys want to be a vendor or a sponsor, we've got the information for that. Lonnie, I think I sent you that piece of that flyer yesterday as well, or Justin rather. I sent it to somebody, I don't recall who. If you want to slip onto that next slide, I think that's the one that has the offerings. Yeah, so there's some of the ones we have. Okay, on to the next one. So here are the levels for booth sponsor, or if you want to be a vendor, it's $150 until March the 17th, and it goes up. And then if you want to be a sponsor, or some of the sponsorship levels and all that goes that. So on to the sponsorships and the levels, there's the various ways that if you didn't want to be a vendor, but you want to sponsor, there's some things that go along with that. So then in turn, when you think about it individually or as a group wanting to do, or a farmer or rancher vendor wanting to be a vendor, there's that aspect of it. But let's talk about this from the context of your community for a little while. Now, we do have a package. It's going to be, think of it like a franchise package. I've taken Marcy Penner's lead and a lot of counsel on all this kind of stuff on how to do this in a way that we can have these go on around the state without us becoming letting the communities do all of the work and get all of the focal points and the revenue and things of that nature, but wrap it up in a franchise package to where we basically just hand you the manual as well as the brand and the customer base that you can reach out to, that so you can make this a region-wide project, but also, something for your community. So that Market of Farms franchise, we've got the bundle all packaged up. If you guys are interested in that, there's a cost. We, of course, walk you through it. We're going to be there, but it would be you and your community providing really the boots on the ground and all of the things that go along with that. We just provide the guidelines. We, of course, help with the social media and the marketing and the advertising of that. And then, of course, the reach. We've got a pretty significant reach and the trusted brand. We've worked 3 years now, really trying to make sure that Shop Kansas Farms is a trusted brand. So a couple of options. Before I move on to the next thing, is there any questions along this?
Hey, Rick, you do have a question. It says, does the products have to be packaged or can they be wholesale supply products in bulk?
As long as they are raised on a Kansas farm. We've really been sticklers about, well, anything that's raised on a Kansas farm, if it's a bulk product, and as long as it's for human consumption, those have kind of been our stipulations all along. Yeah, we want to stimulate. In fact, we do all that we can to connect local farms with local grocery stores. There's a white food liner out of Lyons. It's really picked up a lot of local specialty products from some of our farmers. So we want to help stimulate that wholesale opportunities as well, and we'll make those connections. So as long as it's food raised on a Kansas farm and meant for human consumption, then by all means. I hope that answered that question. All right, Megan, can I get you to slide on? So a local food system, and you guys have been involved in some of this, and you know the food system is a pretty hot topic right now. I want to give you a little bit of a background of how I've come at it. I actually was I've spent the last 20 years working on international food security issues and did something in the States for a lot of years called food packaging events, meal packaging events, just get groups together and package food that gets sent across the world or to the local food bank. I worked with a group in Franklin County Farm Bureau last Saturday, and they packaged 15,000 macaroni and cheese meals that are nutritious to give to their local pantries. So I've done that. Part of what I did along that, we heard of a crisis in Colombia, South America in 2011. And the organization I had founded and was with at the time, we sent 1 million meals down. That was 4 containers of food. I went down later to visit where the food had been distributed. We worked with a group in Colombia called the Defensa Civil, like the American Red Cross. So we knew they were legitimate. We'd done all the vetting. But I went to see, and it was, things had kind of gotten back sort of to normal. They passed the crisis stage, and we were walking through the village of this ancient village in the Andes, and the mayor pointed to the hills where the farmers were, and he said, without them we die. And I realized I'd spent about 10 years in the hunger space by that time already, and if I was going to really be involved in the fight against hunger, I needed to understand farmers and agriculture, and needed to support them. So I really launched myself into trying to understand, and I was at a conference, and it was actually a Kansas Rural Center conference, and Dan Nagengas was the head at the time. And I asked Dan about this signs I see about Kansas farmers feeding 155 people plus you, and how does that really work? And he said, well, it's, that right now, most of the stuff is getting sent around, to other places to process, and then comes back to us on the grocery store shelves. But there's a lot of interest in direct to consumer sales. So that was the first time I'd heard about that. There was also a guy standing there, Dr. Kurt Kastner with Kansas State University Food Science. And he got involved in the conversation, and he started talking about a local food system and how critical they were, especially at the time. He was on Janet Napolitano's Department of Homeland Defense Security, DHS, and they wanted to know, they were worried about international threats to our food supply, food chain. So I got really interested in it, and spent a lot of time at Kansas State in the ag department, getting to know all of those folks and trying to figure out how could I do that in the town I live near, El Dorado, Kansas. And so I got really interested in food systems and was kind of moving along the way. But Kastner broke it down into three things: production, you got to grow something, plant or animal, and then the processing of that. How do you get that plant or animal processed to make it available for human consumption? And then the distribution channel. How do you get it out to where it was? So I've really been interested and been a lot of actually worked on those things in Africa and Central America, and just served in a lot of committees in DC on just trying to make this, how does this really work? One of the things that I saw some things really kind of missing in the food system conversations. One of those was I saw an opportunity for a digital hub. There really needed to be, especially as we became a more digital world, a digital connector. I also saw wasn't a lot of processing on a local level that was available. Commercial kitchens or cold storage. People had to get it up and get it to a farmer's market immediately, and they couldn't really do anything to make value-added products. So there were two things that happened during Shop Kansas Farms that really reaffirmed the need for local food systems in these two components. First one, the third day into Shop Kansas Farms, when we hit 13,000 members, I realized we had created that digital hub. So if you look closely at Shop Kansas Farms in the Facebook group, you'll see producers, processors, and distributors. All three of those things, somehow they're working. It's I've got this for sale, and it's being processed at this locker, and you can come and pick it up, or I can bring it to you. All three of those things are being solved in that one post. Yet how do we help a local food system grow with these things? And so I've been an advocate for commercial kitchens and more commercial kitchens and small processing plants. I frequently get farmers that'll call me up and say, I'm really interested. I had the same conversation in Dexter, Kansas last week with a farmer down there. It's like, we want to do this, but it takes us 2 years to get our animals ready. And once we get the animals ready, we don't really, we're a year out, maybe 2 years out on the local meat processing plants, the small ones that are able to do this. We're interested in doing that. So, and then the vegetable folks, people that are doing specialty crops, like, it'd be great, but I don't, cold storage, I've got to get my stuff to the market immediately. And then the value added. There have been some incredible business launches of value added products like pork rinds and honey butter, or jalapeno butter. In Stafford County, a guy was growing jalapenos in a hoop house on his farm, decided to make some jalapeno butter, had a small local certified kitchen that he could make his paste in or whatever, the honey, the butter, jalapeno butter, and that gets mixed with sour cream and all these other things. And he put an ad on Shop Kansas Farms and had 880 orders in one day. And he lives in Hudson, Kansas, outside of Stafford. He's grown his business so much, he has to have all of that stuff done in Kansas City now. Stafford County doesn't have a facility for him to do that. So imagine, and I also say this, it's not just the farmers and the food entrepreneurs who are doing it now, it's those who are wanting to do it. Those who are like, and like, well, I've got this secret recipe that was my grandma's or my grandpa's or my uncle's, but I can't sell it because I don't have a place to process it local, and I don't really want to invest the money into building a commercial kitchen. Wouldn't it be wonderful if a community came around and provided that opportunity? I'm now starting to see businesses starting to see it as a business revenue. There's one in Council Grove. A guy bought a car dealership and put in a commercial kitchen. It's slammed busy now. It's a revenue stream for him. It's not just a charity thing that he's making it available. He's making money off of people leasing this, people who don't want to invest their own capital into starting one of these, but yet have they're entrepreneurs and they want to go make food. And the neat thing is, about a value added product is that salsa or the honey butter or the jalapeno butter suddenly becomes a national market because you can ship that anywhere. So, imagine the people who are raising tomatoes in hoop houses and they've got to get them to the farmer's market immediately. But what if they made Uncle Buck's salsa or Aunt Jenny's, tomato sauce, or their own creation? It suddenly gives them all sorts of opportunities. So that's why in a local food system, having that processing and helping provide that. I was asked by a person who is in a foundation who grants communities funding, and she said, I was, of course, the beauty of it was Shop Kansas Farms was an LLC, and as a foundation, they couldn't give us any money, and we were just having a great conversation. She's like, so if you went into a community and you were looking for people to really help support to grow their businesses out, who would you be looking for? And I said, I'd be looking for entrepreneurs. And she said, how can you find them? How do you know where they are? I said, well, one of the first groups I would look for is anyone that's doing multi-level marketing. They're selling whatever it is, whatever product it is that has a national brand. The reason they're doing it is because they're entrepreneurs at heart. They want to know that the harder they work, the more money they can make. And that's what an entrepreneur wants to do. They want to be able to control that. But they also need some kind of a national support, or they need some kind of a brand, some kind of a support of, yeah, we're going to help you. We're in this with you together. And that's a great way for a community to build a brand around a food system. And I'm going to get into Rice County, and they are doing this so that they will build a brand around their food system that they can attract the entrepreneurs and give them the support and give them the connected brand that reaches out. And then, of course, the distribution. I got a phone call this morning from Major General Todd Bunting with Save Farm, the Agricultural Veterans Education Farm. And he wants me to meet with some folks because they're trying to figure out this distribution thing themselves. How do we get this stuff to the market? Can there be an Uber Eats type of, can there be especially in rural communities, because we're incredibly committed to making rural communities prosper in all of this. I know entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs drive innovation, and innovation drives commerce. And so they're in these communities, and what I see this being, these food systems, is that type of community umbrella and support that helps them take that to the next level. Okay, Megan, if you'll slide on into the next one. So the food system for us is also based, there's two things. One is it's an economic development model. It's a business model. I've been a part of, the USDA's coming out with trying to figure out how to get regional food business systems centers set in place, and they're offering groups $50 million to get it going. And I've been a part of those conversations, and one of the things they keep going back to is, how is it sustainable? What happens when the grant money runs out? So know that the model that we're developing and working with is an economic development model. It's meant to generate revenue, to identify the people in your community that are already doing it and want to do better, and those who are wanting to get into it. And the beautiful thing about a local food system is it gives people access at a lower entry level. A lot of people want to farm, but they can't afford 1,000 acres and $100,000 tractor or $1 million. But the local food system can help them do that. The community development model also means that you do it as a community. I've done a lot of relief work, and I was in a refugee camp near the Somalia border several years ago, and 10 miles away, the BBC called that 10-mile stretch visions of hell. It was just awful. But I noticed that people were sharing with each other. I mean, starving refugees that we were giving, they were handing food that were coming in, and there was a phrase that one of them repeated in Swahili, and it said, "Today it's me and tomorrow it's you." I was just astonished. I can't get my teenagers to share pizza, and yet here are these starving refugees that were, just sharing whatever they had, and I was just so impressed. But the phrase was, "Today it's me and tomorrow it's you," meaning I'll share with you today because I have it, and you don't. But tomorrow there's going to need to be some reciprocity. I might not, and you will. And so and to me, that's the idea of community. Too much in America, we base our community based on convenience. I believe true community is based on survival and understanding we need each other. And I believe, and I tell every farm group that I speak to, you who are farmers understand community as a survival mechanism better than anybody else in this world. You need each other. The rest of us think we can just go to the grocery store. You understand that community. So it's a powerful way for a community to gather around truly one of the most powerful common denominators known in the history of humanity, and that's food. Next screen, please. The model that we use for this, and so this process of us coming in and consulting with you is a 2-year process based upon, I've been working with Rice County and we're a year into it, and we got another year to go, and it's a 2-year process. But I like the model. In fact, I was part of a team that helped rewrite the Hunger Free Communities model, which was a USDA initiative under Vilsack the first time around. I served on the board for the Alliance to End Hunger in DC for a number of years. I also chaired and started their advocacy committee, and they inherited the Hunger Free Communities Network. And so they rewrote the model. And I was a part of that. We went to Purdue and sat there and worked with the folks from all over the nation. And this collective impact model of these 5 things of a common agenda, shared measurements, mutually reinforcing activities, continuous communication, and a backbone organization. So those 5 things is what Stanford looked at and said, these are the things that need for people to really move the needle. So this model that we work with you with is based on economic development and the collective impact model. On to the next one, please, Megan. Creating prosperity. So Harvest Hub of Rice County. We started with them a year ago. And Stacy Clark, the Economic Development Director, and Carly Frederick with the Community Foundation, Chad, I just lost his name, with the city manager. They just started inviting people to the city hall. And so we'd show up once a month. It's kind of like a town hall, not scripted, other than I just kind of had to let's start working through these ideas. So one of the first things we did was identify those 3 components. Who in this area is growing things, or who are growing things? Where are these things being processed? And then how does it get distributed? So we had white sheets up and we put them around. It was really interesting. We saw these farms that were growing stuff, but then I got to the processing, it was like crickets. Nothing. There was nothing. It's like, oh, wow, we have to send this to, wherever, across the state or someplace else. So it really began to help them understand. And so they've slowly, and then I helped them find and write a $143,000 USDA grant for building out local food systems. And that helped them set up a nonprofit. And it's called the Harvest Hub of Rice County. They just said it, they were just filing their 501c3. The new president of it is actually a Kansas Farm Bureau farmer, the Farm Bureau president in the county, a commodity farmer. But he's researching high ton or vertical farms. They're looking at how can they grow, because he's looking at his younger generation of family coming up. It's like we've got to do things that are different. We've got water issues. We've got all of these issues that we're dealing with. Are there other options that we can do to create revenue for a farm and do what we love best, and that's grow things? Another thing that came along the line was in Bushton, which is in Rice County. There's a school there that just kind of packed up and moved out with this beautiful facility, and uh, they made the city buy it from them. And the city's like, "Well, now what are we going to do with it?" And there's some very visionary people in this little town of Bushton, and so they're carving out office spaces and old classrooms, and they're turning the gymnasium into a rec center. But he came to sit in on the meeting. Alan Seamers, his name's like, "We've got a kitchen." There was a school kitchen. So we got the Kansas Department of Health lady out to inspect, and she's like, "Yeah, paint it up and you're ready to go." And so they're going to be offering it as a for fee, and people can get a fob and use it anytime, because one of the things that I've seen about some of the commercial kitchens are they're connected to a facility and they're only open 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. And as you guys know who are entrepreneurs, that might be when you're working your regular job and you want to do the extra. You might be up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning canning your stuff, and you need that accessibility. So Bushton's really very forward thinking. The research and extension office in Rice in Lyons is they're looking at redoing and expanding there. They do have a commercial kitchen, but they're really thinking about how do we expand. And so one guy is actually a businessman in town. He's going to build a commercial kitchen and lease it out to people. So I'm just delighted that this idea of what do we do to process things locally is really taking fire as people are coming up with these solutions. And as they do it, it's like out of the woodwork, these people are coming and going, I like to make pies and break stuff like this, but I can't, I might sell it under the table at the local, market and get by with it, or, at the church fair, but I'd really like to kind of make a business out of it. Well, they have to have that facility. And so it's just really exciting to, as Megan has heard me say a number of times, we've helped this one fantastic group of farmers, really do the direct to consumer. There's another wave coming. There's another wave coming, and we see it coming. Society tells us it's coming. The indications show there's a lot of people interested in this, buying local and shopping with local farms. So we are doing everything that we can to provide that support for those farms and for you guys that are wanting to turn this into business. Now, this is all kind of phase one. We'll just kind of give you a teaser. Phase two is we're putting together a group of certified business trainers, because we know that's been another need. It's like, okay, I'd like to do this, but how do I do it? Are there people? How do we get into shipping meat? How do we do, and rather than some of the farms and ranches have gone, to California and spent thousands of dollars to learn how, we're like, well, shoot, we've got them here in our own state. Let's help them build out their own consulting business, but yet under our umbrella in such a way that it's kind of a franchise model. Again, it's consistent, it's replicable, it's trusted. And so those certified business trainers are in that next phase, to where it's not just somebody who's thinking about it and teaching it as a class. As I say, there's nobody that can teach entrepreneurship better than that entrepreneur that's laying in bed at 3 a.m. going, how in the world am I going to keep my business afloat? Those are the people we want to teach. Megan, what have I missed?
The only thing I would add is Rick mentioned it kind of in passing. We will be rolling out a new website on March 21st, which is Ag Day, and that's how we're celebrating Ag Day. It will have the opportunities like Rick mentioned. So it will look a little bit different than what he shared previously, but you will still go out there. You can create a free listing, get yourself on the map. For consumers, it will make it a little bit easier to search. And then with those premium offerings, obviously it will make it easier to find those folks who want to level up with some of those premium offerings. But we're super excited about that. We've been working behind the scenes on that for a while, and it's never easy to do that kind of stuff. And there's a bunch of technical stuff that I know nothing about. So we trust our developers. And so we're looking forward to celebrating Ag Day with that rollout. But I think you did a great job, Rick. It's like you've done this before. Thought about this issue a little bit.
Well, the beautiful thing of it is, as you guys probably know, I went to Kansas Farm Bureau because I had this great relationship with them back in last year, and said, would you be interested in buying Shop Kansas Farms? I'm a person of faith. I was a minister for 20 years, and I just believe God handed this to me, but it's my job to steward it. And I got to the part where I wasn't doing a good job stewarding it. I needed help, and it needed people, and it needed resources. And I went to Megan and the CEO, Terry, and it's like, would you guys be interested? And they were like, yeah, but only if you'll hang around for 5 years, which of course I didn't go with that stipulation, but I kind of danced up and down inside a little bit when they told me. I don't do cartwheels. That just is an embarrassing thing to do. But, so what Megan's talking about on March 21st, that website rollout and this new marketing opportunities as a marketing agency, as a marketing firm for farmers, that's been baking in me for a long time. And I didn't have the capacity, like Megan said, to do all of this, and they've done it. And I'm super excited about the rollout. It's neat to see a vision become a reality.
Are there any other questions? It looked like our program director, Justin Howard, has joined us as well. Justin, do you want to jump on and bring greetings or share anything?
Yeah, sure. I just glad that you guys were willing to share so much information with us today. And I think this will be a great opportunity for our network moving forward, and presented a lot of people with the potential of growing their business. And I think that just in my own head, we have a small operation in Northwest Kansas that just rehearing some of the things that you iterated today was just like a light bulb. There's so many different avenues and ways that we can contribute to our communities and provide, the much needed, I take it to the nutrient base, that people need this, and it's a great contribution to the community. And it's also, like you were mentioning, a way to earn a pretty substantial income too, if it's done right. So, I just thank you guys again for being flexible with us and allowing us to work with you guys. And we're excited still to move forward. So we'll be also tracking our membership and our membership's involvement with you guys, and hopefully a lot of our members will take advantage. So yeah.
There's one question that was asked earlier about the wholesale thing, and I realized I didn't handle that as well as I could have. Explain all that does go on. We actually get reached out to, me in particular, by companies that want to buy wholesale, and they don't want to have to, try to vet all the farmers, and so they'll ask me for specific recommendations. I get phone calls and emails a lot. It's like, okay, we need to buy X amount of thing. We don't want to go through all of this. We don't want to figure it all out. Who would you recommend? And so we serve as that intermediary kind of behind the scenes, making those connections with people that are wanting to buy whatever they want, whatever they need in bulk and stuff, because they want to buy from Kansas farms. They just want to know that somebody's helped them make that connection.
If anybody's interested in testing out the new website for us and getting your farm on there as we roll out, we would be happy to work with you on that. If you want to just send an email to skf@shopkansasfarms.com, we can send you that information. We'd love to have some more testers on that as well and actually have some great farms on there before we roll out on March 21st.
And Megan, do you mind dropping that in the chat for us?
Yes, I will do that. Thank you for saying that.
Hey, Rick, it looks like we have another question. It said, can we schedule a meeting with you directly for bulk? And this is Keenan Smith was asking the next question.
Sure, you bet.
All
For
righty.
some reason, I cannot type in the chat. It's only letting me message Lonnie. So if somebody else would.
I can open that up for you, Megan. There you go. You should be able to now.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Yes, you can actually reach me. It's rick@shopkansasfarms.com. Or my cell phone is 316-734-6845. And you might text me before you call, so I know it's not spam. I don't know what's going on, but I'm getting so many spam calls lately. I'm really reluctant to answer the phone unless I know for sure it's somebody I want to talk to. My car's extended warranty is just fine. Thank you very much.
I get those calls all the time.
It looks like we got spammed during our meeting a little bit earlier.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That was a little. Thanks for you handled that like a champ, Rick. So
Definitely.
Well, I've 3 years of Kansas Farms has taught me how to a little bit of that diplomacy. Respect everybody's situations and ask that they respect ours.
And we also have our executive director, Dr. John Ella Holmes, on here. Dr. Holmes, would you mind, or would you like to share any brief words or comments?
We are having a great time here in Washington, D.C. That's Lorette with me and the whole team. And yeah, I think my background is what do you call it? Kansas. So we're having a great time having an excellent meeting with Congressman Tracy Mann, and really pushing our issues and working with them and everything. So I'm glad about this. I'm glad we're working with you, Rick. There's some things that we're going to be doing directly in Nicodemus that we'll need to be talking with you about. I know there's some other farmers that we're really going to just start working with you guys. And Megan, I haven't forgotten that you want a listening session, and we will certainly get all of that together. We're working on the Farm Bill 2023, and that's really important to our continuing. Thank you, guys. You did a great job, Justin. Oh my goodness, I'm so proud of you guys. I hope you get off the record. We don't have that part.
We do have it recorded, so we will make edits and get it posted and everything as well.
Right on, guys. You're doing great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. So Rick, any other final comments or pieces of information that you'd like to share with KBFA and our farmers and our members? Like Dr. Holmes said, you did an awesome job. This is some very good information, and we are excited to continue moving forward in our partnership and working with you guys as well.
Well, thank you for having us on. And Thank you for all that you do to feed the world.
Yes.
I appreciate it deeply. 3 times a day, I give God thanks for you and your commitment to making sure we all have nutritious food. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you. And with that being said, like I said, we will be sharing this via social media and our YouTube channel. Rick and Megan, I'll keep you guys posted when we get those things posted, and we will have some short clips here and there that we can share for you guys to share on your social media as well. So
Wonderful.
we'll keep you posted on that. This has been awesome. And with that being said, everyone enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. And we will see you guys soon.
Thank you so much.
All righty, thank you.